Hello everyone, my name is Chris and welcome back to another movie review. Today I'm gonna be reviewing The Batman, and as usual I'm quickly gonna go through the story of this movie to tell you in short what this movie is all about. Then I'm gonna share my own opinions and thoughts about this movie, so in case you didn't watch it, one big spoiler alert across the screen. And yeah, just click away from this video and come back after you watch a movie if you want to, guys. If you don't want to, you don't have to, it's totally okay. But if you really are interested in my opinions and thoughts about this movie right now, then stay with me till the end of this video and let's get started. Alright guys, The Batman is a movie that's been released this year, pretty recently actually, and this is yet another superhero movie about character from DC Comics, The Batman. I'm pretty sure you all heard of him. And the movie starts off with a voiceover of Bruce Wayne, or Batman, which is by the way played by Robert Pattinson. And he's talking about how he's been fighting a crime on the streets for the last 2 years as the Batman, and how things are in the Gotham, how crime rate is rising and everything is so violent and corrupt, and things are getting out of control, and he just simply decided to take justice in his own hands. And then next scene cuts to this serial killer that murders mayor of Gotham and leaves riddles behind for police and the Batman. And then next scene after that is Batman and Officer Gordon coming to crime scene to investigate the murder and collect the evidence about what happened. And then Batman realizes that he's dealing with a guy they call the Riddler, which is a very well-known villain from DC Comics and Batman's universe. You know, if you ever played any of Batman Arkham games or read any of the comics, you're gonna know who the Riddler is. And in my opinion, this was great because I always wanted to see a movie where the Riddler is in the movie with the Batman, and I finally got it. So for the rest of the movie now, Batman is trying to stop the Riddler from murdering more important people in Gotham, because Riddler is targeting politicians, and all his targets are like high priority valuable targets. And politicians that are corrupt and, you know, are lying to people. And Riddler is just basically a guy who is tired of lies and corruption and everything that politicians have been saying to people of Gotham, and he just simply decided to put an end to all of that by killing them. And now Batman, being Batman, wants to prevent him from doing that and causing more trouble and evil in the Gotham. And for the rest of the movie, he's just hunting him, and a lot of things start to get complicated down the road. Catwoman also shows up and sometimes complicates things. Also, some other villains show up like Penguin and Falcone, and they're also kind of involved into all that. And then as the movie comes towards the end, you realize that Batman starts to suffer a lot as well, because he learns the truth about his father and family, the ugly truth that was hidden from him. So yeah, that's pretty much what this entire movie is all about. Alright, so this movie, wow, holy shit, there is just so much I want to talk about, but it's just impossible to put it all in one video, so I'll just try to keep it as short as possible. But The Batman is definitely the best Batman movie ever made, and best Batman movie that I have ever seen in my entire life. And it easily outtops Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. I'm not afraid to say that because it's true. It easily outtops Nolan's trilogy, and don't get me wrong, Nolan's trilogy is great. It's awesome. It's pure masterpiece, and I fucking love it. It was my favorite Batman movies until I seen this one. But when I watched this one, it so easily outtopped Nolan's trilogy, because simply I finally got the Batman movie as it is in the comics. That's it, simple as that. We finally got to see the real Batman and his character and his story for what he truly is in the comics. What I've really loved about the Batman is how dark it is. The movie is very dark. The atmosphere of the entire movie is very dark. The Batman and the character of Bruce Wayne himself is very dark, and he's that young, depressed Batman that doesn't have that much experience yet, and he's still learning through the movie how to be the Batman. And there is so much great vigilante, like dark vigilante psychology behind this movie and the character. It is so unique and great in so many ways, and it's so well portrayed and explained in this movie. In my opinion, this was the most realistic Batman movie that I have ever seen in my entire life. Because, like, you can see Batman wearing eye makeup in this movie, and he takes off the mask, and there's still eye makeup. It's great. It's something I haven't seen in any other Batman movie. There is also like a scene where he just literally comes out in the streets, you know, and the criminals are watching dark corners thinking that he might be hiding in the shadows. And then he says like, "But I am the shadow." And it feels so fucking epic. The idea of hearing his footsteps approaching from the darkness as the criminals are watching towards that darkness, and he just comes out slowly. That felt so fucking epic and realistic. The fear that criminals feel from the Batman is so realistic. I also love the scene where Batman comes into this club in his suit, and he just walks in where literally everyone can see him, and he just starts to beat the crap out of everyone. And that perfectly shows the point of Batman's mask. Why hide and strike from the shadows when you have a suit and a mask, and you're anonymous behind it? No one knows who you are. I really love how realistic that was. He just literally comes in and starts to beat the crap out of people. They all know it's the Batman, but they don't know who is behind the mask. And that scene just perfectly shows it. I fucking loved it. And the way Batman approaches all the situations is very realistic. I really love how he cooperates with police, and big part of this movie is like that detective side. So for most of the movie you're gonna see Batman dressed up in the suit, and for most of the movie he's gonna be talking to the other characters and to the other people. There is very little action in this movie, believe it or not, but when it happens, it's so well fucking done that you don't even need to see more action. It's perfect the way it is, and it's fucking awesome. There is so many great psychology behind the villains as well. They have such a great point. It just makes you really think about that, and you truly understand the villains. And I really love how the movie focused on each character and made it equally important, just like the Batman. This movie really made me care about every single character, and all their actions and things they do in the movie are so well portrayed and explained that movie almost feels like it's not only about the Batman, but all the other characters and the villains in the same time. There's also Penguin in this movie, then Falcone, they're also villains. Riddler is the main villain, but there are also other side villains that are also great and have the great point. Then you can also see the Batman ignoring a bunch of other criminal activities because, like he said in the introduction, I have to pick my targets carefully. This is a big city and I can't be everywhere in the same time. When I heard that, I was like, that was so realistic. Because how can one man cover the entire city and protect it from the crime? He can't. And that's why I love it. It's so great. And he focuses on these higher priority targets, like those higher criminals from where all the evil starts, and he wants to cut the problem at the top, and then with that he will resolve all other smaller criminal activities. He can see people through the movie dealing drugs, doing all the dirty money and everything, and he ignores that because as a Batman, he can't do much about it. He can, what, beat up these junkies, put them in jail, and then what? He literally didn't do anything. You actually did worse for that person because it's so miserable using the drugs and all that to escape from their life problems. And like, if you beat them up and put them into jail, you didn't really do much. And he really knows how to prioritize crime, and he knows what crime he's interested in and what crime he's not interested in, because there are bigger criminal activities going on in the city that he's attracted to. And just seeing that was so great for me, and it was so realistic. I really appreciated that approach and how movie portrayed it and explained that. There is also Catwoman. She's also great in this movie, and I really loved her character. It really reminded me a lot of Arkham games. This entire movie just really reminded me of Arkham quadrilogy that I've played, and I played all 4 Batman games, and they were awesome, and they're very much like this movie. Some people say that even Robert Pattinson uses some of the moves from the game while fighting. I honestly didn't notice that, but if it's true, that's actually really fucking cool. And I really also like the Catwoman and how she cooperates with the Batman. They balanced her character perfectly. She is a woman, and she does things that women can do. She uses her body and attractiveness to cooperate with Batman and get the information from the people so that he needed to stop the crime. And she also knows how to fight sometimes, you know. She's just like she's a Catwoman. She's like a cat, you know. Cats are like that. One day they decide to help you, the other day they just decide to scratch you. They don't give a fuck. Cats just care about themselves. And that's how Catwoman is. You can see her in this movie stealing money at one point and running away with it and just doing things for herself. Then you have Penguin from the other side. He's like criminal, you know. He does his thing. He's also all about dirty money, drugs, all that. But Batman understands that even if he beats him up and puts him in the jail, he won't really gain anything from it because he's not that big fish. At least not yet in this movie. And I really love that approach. It is so well explained. The action in this scene, like I said, when it happens, it's so fucking cool. The combat scenes are so well done. The shots, camera angles, everything is very well done. There is no shaky cameras or whatever. You get to see everything that is going on the screen. But again, most of this movie is based on the psychology. Let's take a moment and talk about the Riddler for a second. Like I said, he is just a man that's been abused in his childhood, and he uses his villain psychology where the world hurt him and now he wants to hurt back the world. And he did some terrible things by the end of the movie and just ruined the city of Gotham. And Batman tried to do everything he could to stop him, but when he realized that Riddler's plan kind of worked, he felt really down, and that's where he realized that vengeance won't really bring anything to you or fix anything. And that's why I loved Riddler. He knows exactly how to defeat the Batman. He knows that he can't beat him physically, but he beat him psychologically. He found a way to manipulate him from the inside and just rip him apart. And Batman at the end loses his shit and starts an argument with Riddler once he catches him. What I also loved about Riddler is how when Batman catches him and puts him in prison, they're having this conversation, this argument. He actually reveals to the Batman that he is Bruce Wayne. And Riddler knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne. And he never tells that to anyone else but him. And when I seen that, I was like, holy shit, he knows. He fucking knows, and he didn't tell anyone else, which would literally destroy him as a hero. But he doesn't do that, in my opinion, because he is actually a big fan of him. He actually thinks that him and Batman got a lot in common. He thinks they're the same. And it's very complex psychology behind that when you think about it. And it was great. I fucking loved it. And that scene itself just deserved an Oscar for me, honestly. So much great psychology, so much great performance from both actors. It was very well done. I really loved Riddler. Riddler was like, wow, man, he was crazily good in this movie. All the things that he did made a lot of sense. I'm not saying that things that he did were good. Of course, he's a bad guy. But I totally understand why he became a bad guy. And that's where the movie kind of reminded me about the Joker with its psychology. It's so well explained, it's so well portrayed that you totally understand why villain decided to become a villain. And I also really loved Gordon in this movie. He's the only cop that actually believes in Batman, just like in the comics and in the Arkham games. Gordon is the only police officer that actually believes Batman wants to help, and he cooperates with him. And you can see that in the movie as well. There's also a scene at one point where Batman ends up in a police station where cops just want to beat the crap out of him because he's constantly getting involved, and cops don't really like him. And that again just proves that eventually everyone hates the hero. No matter what he does, everybody will hate him. Only few people will be good towards him and understand him. So I really love that psychological side, how he's so ununderstood and how people don't understand Batman and the concept of it, and how he wants to be the symbol of hope and something good for people. Then there is also a scene where like water floods one part of the town, and there's a cable hanging above the water, and it's gonna electrocute all the people. So just Batman throws himself, cuts the cable, falls in the water to save human lives, and then he just comes out of water with a flare and gives people a hand to come out of the water, and he starts to rescue them one by one. And they all start to follow him while he's holding a flare in the darkness. And I really love how that scene represented that he was the light in the darkness. And that's like where I felt like he felt for the first time as a true hero. That's where I felt like he realized that vengeance and violence are not the only way he can be the hero. You can be hero doing the small things, like simply giving someone a hand or helping him or her getting to ambulance or something like that. But like small things that can mean so much to someone. You can be a hero that way. You don't need a bunch of fancy gadgets and a costume and suit and a mask with like high-tech car or something like that. You don't need that to be a hero. And I really love how that movie portrayed that part as well. There is so many great things about this movie, the psychology, the ideas that they came up with. It's definitely the best Batman movie that I have ever watched. It is so fucking great. I don't know what else to say, guys. So yeah, I think I said everything I wanted about this movie. I mean, there is definitely more things I could talk about for hours and hours, but like I said, it can't all be put in one video, so I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. And yeah, that's it for this movie review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then go ahead and leave a like, share, comment, or subscribe if you want to, guys. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can also join my Chris Facebook group. Link is down below in the description. I post all kind of stuff over there. So join if you want, guys. Again, if you don't want to, you don't have to. If you're a fan of superhero movies and vigilante movies, and in general, if you're a fan of DC and Batman, I honestly am not that big fan of DC, but I definitely am fan of the Batman movie now for sure. And If you're into this kind of movies, I definitely recommend you to watch this movie. This is a must-watch movie. It's a movie that is perfectly based on the vigilante, like I said, dark vigilante psychology, and the Batman for what he truly is in the comics. And you should definitely watch this movie because you're not gonna regret it. It is awesome. It is just pure cinematic masterpiece, and I absolutely fucking loved it. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of your support and everything you've done for me and my channel so far. You're awesome. I love you, and I'll definitely see you in the next videos. Chris out.